Hi there, I'm Lisa. Thank you for joining me today in my lovely arty studio. Today I am going to be painting a canvas. I just have a small canvas. It's I can't remember what size this one is. It is 13 centimeters by 18 centimeters. So it's not a huge one, but it's just something I'm going to put on my studio wall. I'm going to start off, I tend to, when I make my canvases, I tend to make them in stages. So for example, I need to shoot out and do some errands in a bit, and then I've got my daughter coming home from work, and so I need to fix their dinner. So I tend to, when I'm painting a canvas, I tend to do it at a time when I know I'm going to be in and out, and then I can leave the stages to dry in between. So the very first stage, I am covering this in just plain acrylic paint. Quite often I'll use gesso as well, but I want it to be really nice and clean. So I want a fresh look. So it's going to be white paint today, and then when that's all coated, I will leave it to dry and dash out and get my errands done. And then hopefully by the time I fix the kids' dinner, it will be nice and dry, ready to go on to the next stage. And just so in case anyone asks, it's that paint there. Okay, I will see you later. I'm back from errands. I have a dry canvas and I have just 2 minutes before I need to dish up dinner. So this is where the next stage happens. I've got a couple of masks and I am going to get some colour on this canvas. I've got a couple of the distress stains, the Tim Holtz distress stains, one in spun sugar and one mustard seed, and I have a Dilutions fresh lime as well. Now when you make these canvases, it's all about creating layers. So don't get too stressed, like if you've got some blobs that you don't really want there, you're not really going to see it at this stage. So it's all about building up. We'll be adding paint, we'll be adding papers, so don't panic too much. Let's get some green on there and down here as well, and let's add some pink in the center. There we go, and down there. And I am going to leave that and go and dish up our dinner. I shall leave that to dry. Hi there, I'm on day 2 of this canvas. I did pop in last night. Oh, that's still a bit sticky. I popped in last night and I sprayed some of this blue, this distress stain even, with the stencil. So I thought I'd left that to dry overnight, but can you believe it? It's still a bit sticky. It's quite funny. I am now going to add a little bit of texture before I go and have my morning coffee. I'm going to use this rather large 12 by 12 stencil and some modelling paste. There you go. And just on the back of an old credit card. Let's not too much. And I'm just going to smear this on no particular place or order. Let's do some up here. And it just will dry hard and solid, so it will add a really, really nice texture to the canvas once it's dry. Now I'm just going to do those 2 corners, I think, and leave it at that. Actually, do you know, while I've got this stencil out, let's add some of these as well. Well, that's quite nice. Look, can you see it's come out because I've sprayed with the blue underneath. It's actually come through. I like that. I'll add another one down here actually. There. So I am going to go and make coffee and leave this to dry. The next part of this canvas, I'm going to add some stamping. I've got a really old stamp here. I've had it for goodness knows how many years, and it's got like a script on it. I quite like this as a background stamp, and I'm going to use a red ink pad, ink pad, and just go over in a few areas. I'm going to do the sides a little as well, and just adds a little more interest. And again, you don't need to worry too much, as there's going to be more layers and you won't fully see it anyway. A little bit at the top there. There we go. Another really good way of making background stamps, if you don't have any, you can use bubble wrap. This is really handy. I'm just going to press the bubble wrap into a pink ink pad here and press down. There, you can just see it's not really dark, but I really like that it's just there again in the background. Obviously, if you use a darker ink pad, then that will show out a lot more. I don't want this to be a really dark project though, but the bubble wrap's a really nice effect. I like that. Let's just do that top side there. And another one that I like is corrugated card. I've cut this off a cardboard box and I'm going to take the top layer off, and that reveals this effect here. I'm going to try it with the green. I'm using Kaisercraft ink pads here, and yeah, I like that. Do you see that? It's a really nice effect. I like this colour actually. What's this? Avocado. Let's do some that way. We're starting to build up our layers now. They're looking quite good. And I'm moving this. I'm not keeping it the same way all the time. I'm moving it as I go around. And that's it. It's coming along quite nicely now. Before I finish working on the background, I'm going to take my pink mist again and just go over. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave the sides actually, and I'm going to leave that to dry. I really like this pink because it doesn't actually dry that dark, not on something like a canvas. It kind of disperses slightly, and it will be much paler than how you see it right now. So I'm going to give this some time now to dry. Now the next stage, it's reasonably dry. We are going to be creating the design in the middle. Now I am going to do an ice cream sundae. You could do a cupcake, you could do cut a cone for your ice cream, or actually, so shall I do a cone? Yeah, I think I'm going to do a cone actually. So I've got a couple of papers here from the August Lollipop Box Club kit. I like this one, it's a really nice texture. So I am going to cut a cone into here. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's not about being perfect. So that's going to go on there, and then a round bit on the top for the ice cream, like that. I quite like that, they look like sprinkles, don't they? That's quite cool. Or you could go with three, you could do 3 perfect round ones, that would look quite cool as well, but I'm going to go for 1. Not a big fan of ice cream, so I think 1 would be enough for me. I might make the cone slightly smaller, like that. I think that looks nice. And let's just trim this bit off a little bit. And then I'm just going to, I think that's better, stick them on with PVA glue. And that's all I'm going to do with these. Just regular PVA glue that I buy from Hobbycraft. So let's pop that on there. I can move it around to the final place in just a second. And that will go there. Let's make that slightly higher. And I want to make sure it's reasonably central as well. There we go. And they can go on. That should hopefully stick down nicely. Now I want to start adding some paint to this canvas now. To me it looks still very unfinished. I also need a cherry. I will be adding a big cherry on the top there. You can cut a circle out of paper and stick that on, but I like to do a big fingerprint. So I'm going to grab my paints. So this is where the fun starts. Let's go. We could go with a bright pink cherry or a red cherry. Let's go with bright pink. I've got the baby wipes at the ready. A good blob of this. And there we have my cherry. Now, obviously, I don't want to waste, so let's move my hair out of the way. My hair gets everywhere. And now I am going to start some good old-fashioned finger painting. Let me grab my board, good old trusty board. And this is another one of those instances. I seem to do this so much. I'm starting with the paints and I'm wearing a new white t-shirt. So I really should learn my lesson. Pop an apron on, I've got enough of them. Right, so a little bit of pink. I really think we need some blue. Quite like that one. And again, pop it on the finger. I really, really enjoy finger painting. And let's move that one up. I like feeling it as I'm using it. You can go over the textures. I think we need some on the ice cream. Looks quite nice, doesn't it? And you can move it around whichever direction you want to go. And then you can just keep adding to it. So let's have, actually I've got a bit of cream here. This might be quite nice on the cone. Let's try a little bit of this. Whoa, that came out fast. Didn't quite want that much. I'm sure it'll be used on something else. Let's maybe go at the top. And the good thing about this, if you don't like it, you can just go over it with another colour. So like, for example, I'm not so keen on that pink. So let's go over, tone that down a little bit. Like that. Oh, this cream is really running out fast. I've got it everywhere now. Let's move that up like that. I like that it's quite thick there. What other colour should we go for? I've got a bit of pale pink. Let's add some pink to that. Obviously this is going to take quite some time to dry. The paint's going on quite thick. Let's go over that bit down there, move it up and across. I think I need a little bit more coming down like that. I'm going to move this up to the camera slightly so you can see. Can you see the thickness there? That's going to look really nice when that's dry. Should we have a little bit of this deep yellow? These colours are just screaming out summer, aren't they? They're so pretty. Let's get some yellow going there. Let's blend that in slightly actually. A bit more yellow I think along the bottom. That's it. Like that, and down the side as well. Okay. Now, in case you haven't noticed, I haven't done the sides. Did a bit of stamping earlier on. For the sides, let's wipe my fingers off. I tend to paint with the wet wipe. So if you take this, you can just take some of the outside and then I brush over here. So it takes on the colours that are on the side of the canvas. Let's take some of the pink and then I just brush over, and that's very easily and quickly your sides done. So take some of the yellow and it's just a really easy way of doing it. I like doing it like this. And that's that side done. I don't want to take too much of that thickness. I like the way that that pink's gone on. So that's all the sides done. How quick was that? Okay, let's blend that over a little bit. Let's do that top corner a little bit more. Let's go over. Make sure everything's nicely coated. That corner was slightly white there. We don't want that. Don't want any white bits. There. Now I'm going to do something. This daisy here, you can't quite see that through anymore. So by doing that, it just highlights it a little bit. And you can also add, by dabbing it, adding just a little bit more texture there as well. There we go. Don't want to overdo it, so I'm going to leave it like that to dry. Actually, I've changed my mind. I've just gone on the ice cream with the yellow, and let's blend that in a little bit more and dab it. There, I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to leave that to dry. I do believe it's time for another coffee, so let's leave that to dry, and I will come back and add some more bits and pieces to that in a little while. I'm now just going around a little bit with a black pen. As you can see, you have to be really careful. The paint's not completely dry in places, and it does ruin certain types of pen. I'm now on my third pen of actually doing this, but then that's because I'm pretty impatient. So let's just doodle around the outside. Let's doodle around the cherry. There we go, and again around here. I'm actually thinking of adding some crisscross to the ice cream cone. There we go, and a little bit more around here. When it's properly dry, I will go around the outside again. I'm going to add a little bit more paint to this. I've decided to add a little bit more of the spearmint in a few places. And another thing that I really like to do is add some white as well. It kind of acts as a bit of a highlighter, and just lifts the project a little. I'm going to add a little bit more down there, and let's get my white paint out of the cupboard. Add a tiny bit of white. This is probably when it comes out absolutely loads. There we go. A little bit there. I just really like the effect that having the white has on the project. Down the bottom. Go, and I shall leave that to dry now as well. I'm now going to add a small quote to my canvas, making life a little sweeter. It comes with the August Lollipop Box Club kit. I'm going to trim it down very slightly, and I am going to stick it onto the canvas with a little PVA glue. I've just gone around the outside a little with my black pen. It's drier now, so that's worked much better, and I've also gone around the outside of the wording. I am going to add a little bit of pink very slightly over the top, so it's not quite so white, and it's blended in a little bit now. And I do believe that my canvas is now finished. So the sides are done, they were done earlier, and you've got all the lovely textures, you've got the sparkle, you've got the paper, you've got all the different layers. And if there's anything that you're not happy with at this stage, remember you can always add a little bit more paint. Pop it on the end of your finger and rub around if you want some more colour, or if you want to tone it down a little bit. At the end of the day, it's paper and paint, you can go over it, so don't fret. Hope you like this. This can be applied to canvases, it can be applied to pieces of wood if you wanted to put wood on the wall, or if you wanted to do something in your art journal as well. Thank you very much for joining me. If you do have any questions, please do ask. I will link up as many products that I've used today below, so if there's something I've missed, please do ask me. Thanks, bye.